Hi guys, for some reason the right wing are against ULEZ and very upset that it has been judged lawful by a court recently. Now this was a policy that was introduced by Boris Johnson when he was Mayor of London. Then when Sadiq took over, he was forced to extend it by the Tory government. The Transport Secretary at the time, Grant Shapps, made him do so in order to access funding. Here Lizzy Cundy, a Brexiteer, claimed against factual evidence that ULEZ reduces pollution and second compares the scheme to freedom of movement in the EU. What? Have a listen.
The ULEZ doesn't reduce air pollution, it just taxes it. And this is a con, I'm afraid to say. I am absolutely disgusted that this has gone through because you know who's going to hit? It's going to hit the poor working class in those areas. And it's going outside London now. And even it's going to affect places like Portsmouth, Norwich and further afield. It's going to really affect people's lives. They're working, just getting to appointments, going to see your mum, visits. It's going to really affect people. Going to cost £12.50 just to leave the drive. And it's very odd that Khan is in favour of freedom of movement inside the EU, but not within his own city. Okay.
That's a very good point.
That's a good point.
No, it's not a good point. Oh my God. And then, okay. First of all, the British government support the evidence that ULEZ brings down pollution levels. So I don't know where she's getting her evidence that it doesn't. Maybe it's Facebook or something like that. But second, the main point here, of course, comparing a tax on pollution to freedom of movement. Okay. This is from a Brexiteer. So I don't know, does she support freedom of movement or does she not support freedom of movement? I'm a little bit confused. Because she, I presume, is happy with Brexit and she's happy that freedom of movement has ended. So you don't really get to complain about a different type of movement within the city. But when it comes to ULEZ, you have alternatives. You have other options. You can take a bike. You can walk. You can use public transport. You can take a taxi. Or if you have a highly polluting vehicle, you can replace it. And there is financial support. Now, is it enough? In some cases, maybe not enough. But there are alternatives. What are the alternatives for people who have lost their freedom of movement in the EU? As a direct consequence of your vote. You voted for this. So you don't get to complain. But what are the alternatives? What other options do people have? Maybe an EU passport. But then why would you want an EU passport if you're a Brexiteer? Unless you don't really believe in Brexit and it was just a con job. And it was just a way of convincing people to vote against their own interests, but not against your interests. This is nonsensical. Once again, when it comes to ULEZ, there are alternatives. There is financial support. Where is the alternative for people who have lost their freedom of movement? Where is the support from the British government to compensate people? And there have been a number of stories this week of people in Spain, people in Italy, who, as a direct consequence of Brexit, are risking, financial loss because of visa changes and the ending of freedom of movement directly. People, expats with properties abroad, who were told by people like Michael Gove that nothing would change. Don't worry, vote for Brexit, you'll be fine. And now they're suffering a financial loss. It's nonsensical once again. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.